Okay, wow, what a wild week it's been. I want to say thanks for stopping in, and I'm sorry we're running late. We had technical difficulties, and I blame it all on Wild Angel. And beyond that, I can already tell you backstage has been wild. People are wound up. It's going to be insane tonight, so hope you guys are ready. Now, as you know, mi casa is su casa. As always, kick your shoes off at the door. Let's stay a while, have some fun. Bar is always open. Pour yourself a drink. Maybe two, and that's if a few of our speakers here haven't already emptied the bar. So, I don't know, there might be something tucked in the very back. Good luck there. Vape, smoke, snacks, everything is there. So, kick back, relax, let's have some fun. Now, as you know, tonight's topic is going to be societal shift. Yeah. I don't know, what does that even mean, right? Well, that's what we're going to find out tonight. We're going to talk about it because literally right now in society, we are in a major shift. I mean, we're seeing it all over the place, and we're going to talk about that. This could get gritty, could be interesting. We'll find out. But first of all, let's see who we got in the audience tonight. So scrolling down, look at that. Rosalind, how you doing, my dear? Good to see ya. Ooh, a new member. CK the Ghost, welcome to the party, buddy. Great to have you with us, and thank you so much for being a member. It helps support the community, and it's what we do to give back. So thank you so much, brother. And let's see. Sarah says, hey, thanks. Absolutely, my man. And Wild Angel, yes, she's been breaking things already. That's the way it's going. Man, things are getting broken. It's getting wild. Smiley Girl. There's my girl. How you doing, dear? And Jay Steen. Always a thumbs up, brother. I love that. Never a thumbs down. He's always got those 3 thumbs. That's my man. So, welcome, CK. Yes, and thank God it's Friday. Man, Rose, I hear you. The week has been insane. We've had computer problems across the board. And we're going to get into the party here. But first of all, guys, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Now, this is an unofficial sponsor, but one that I really want to promote. You see, because one thing we're always trying to fight, especially right now in society with all the craziness and the shift, is depression. And that's one of the serious things that affect all of us at some point in time. And it could be little bits of depression or huge bouts of depression. But either way, it's one of those where we try to spread the goodness, the possibility, and just a good vibe out there. And so one place that I personally love to participate with is Project Duck Depression. There we go. And these are the ambassadors that do not exist. Most perfect. And so a lot of great posts here. But Project Duck Depression is all about leaving little tiny yellow ducks, just like them, all over the place. Because when people find these, they can't help but smile. So definitely go out. Check out Project Duck Depression. Follow them on Facebook, get yourself some ducks, and spread them around the world. Let's get some people smiling. I can tell you that Wild Angels spread them all across the Capitol building here in Boise, Idaho, 2 days ago. And hundreds of them. It's great. So I'm sure we'll probably get an email or a letter from the governor saying, why are there ducks everywhere? That's okay. So definitely go check them out. Okay, so are we ready to get this party rocking and rolling? Oh, look at that, Rosalind. Project Duck Depression. Yeah, you know it, girl. Love it. And yes, it is founded by Rosalind Kier and Cyro Kier. 2 guests we're going to be joining us tonight. And there's the way. Oh, what's that? Ooh, duck it. Duck it. I'm going to get some. Welcome, Brad Eye. Good to have you with us. Brad Eye. Hey, DJ. So let's get everybody up here. So, of course, if her computer is working, she hasn't broken this one as of yet. It's been like 5 minutes, so it's hard to say. But none other than Miss Wild Angel. How you doing, love?
Hi, guys.
And that's the way the night's going, guys. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
And it was about 100-ish ducks around the Idaho Department of Insurance. I did not spread them around the Capitol because they were actually rehearsing for the post-academy graduation. So there were ISPs everywhere. So no, I'm not going to do that at the Capitol building with ISP everywhere because just my luck, I would get arrested.
I'd love to see that. I would love to come on here and say, sorry, Wild Angel's not here. She got arrested for depositing ducks. Like, really? Who gets arrested for that shit?
And then I sent a post to Rose and Cyril saying I had sent at work. And today I put more, I'm a duck dealer. I'm reading those comments. Oh my God, it's been a week. But I put more ducks around because somebody actually came to me and says, but I can't find any more. I said, no, I put them in everybody's cubicles. And she's like, oh. And so today I had to put a few more ducks out just to see if she found them.
Absolutely.
So
and
yes, it was a great boost.
I have a whole bag of ducks to deposit. Fluorescent glitter ducks. Oh yeah, this can be great.
Yeah. Well, I'm down to about 150 ducks out of 800. Serenity's probably got about 200 of them. Maybe, probably not that many. Yes, they're glitter ducks.
Yeah, they are.
$40 on Amazon, 800 ducks. Hey, I'm good.
Now, special thing there is on Project Duck Depression, there is an affiliate link there, and I'm sure Rose Osiro will share that. Now, that does help support the Facebook channel and to do other good things there. But you know what? Let's bring them up here to find out more about it. So, where is she? There's my girl, Rosalind Kier. There she is. And the man of the hour, Cyril Kier.
What's up? How's it going?
What's up? Okay, talk to us. Project Duck Depression. What's it all about here, guys?
Well, about spreading smiles, and bringing awareness to the fact that a lot of people are struggling these days, especially with the quick turns in society going downhill very rapidly. So there's your societal shift, right?
Right.
These kind of mental struggles are hitting a lot more people. And we're trying to raise awareness of that and let everybody know, hey, you're not alone out there, right? A lot more people are going through it than you think. And it leaves a smile for people when they find them. And it helps. We like putting them around like small businesses in the area, because when people go out seeking the ducks, it helps support local family-owned businesses instead of, those big chains and everything like that, to try to help bring some of the power back to the local communities.
Absolutely, and I can agree more. And now you guys have an affiliate link to buy ducks at a discount. Is that something you can throw in the chat and I'll share to the community here?
Yeah, let me go locate it.
There's actually a new shop that opened. It's an antique store that just opened in town earlier today, actually. I'm gonna try and hit it this weekend. And
really, hit it, or
I'm gonna go duck the store and then post up. That way, it gets them a little bit more. They actually got a shout out from the city page. As their little. I love the way that our city engages with new business owners and stuff like that. They posted up on their page, hey, this is when they're opening. We're actually going to do this nice little, certificate ceremony for them and a ribbon cutting at the opening. And they do that for all of the new stores in town. So I just think that's really cool how they involve the community like that.
That's amazing. Absolutely awesome. And Brown Eye says, please tell me the slogan is, because I give a duck.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, we need a shirt for that. Because I give a duck.
Yeah.
Why do you care? Because I give a duck. See, my shirt says so. So, we'll get that link to you guys, but let's get everybody else up here because, we got a full house backstage. Now, as you guys know, becoming a VIP family member gives you a backstage access to every Freaky Friday. So, if you want to hop up here, have fun, consider hitting the join and become a VIP family member. So, a couple people we've got is I'm trying to figure out how it's easy for me to say. I haven't even been drinking yet. It has been. So, special guest we haven't seen in a while, the lovely and talented Miss Smiley Girl. How you doing, girl?
Hi, I'm good. I'm talented, huh?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I've been watching your videos. You've been making some good content.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear.
Absolutely. So, how have you been doing this week, dear?
Oh, it's been a horrible week. But today is a good day, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here, and I'm sorry, recently Smiley lost one of her dearest friends, her cat, after 12 years, and so it's been rough. And so, Smiley, our heart goes out to you, dear, and we're just glad to have you here with us today. Hope we can make you smile just a little bit.
Oh, thank you. You do every time. That's why I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you, dear. And, one person we've been missing the last couple weeks, I started to think he didn't like me anymore, so had to reach out and say, hey, what's going on? And none other than Mr. Alpha Cruz.
Hey, Alpha.
Hi.
Welcome back, buddy.
It's very sad when I miss it too, so.
Wow, that is bad. So how's your week been going, man?
It's been okay. I mean, it's been better than last week, so I'm very happy for that. And last week was just hectic, but this week has been pretty good. Everything's been going better. I say we can't say good yet. It's just been going better.
Hey,
Better is good.
yeah, better's a win right there. Anytime it's better than it was, that's a win. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit.
Exactly. You know, sometimes you just need to have a week. I say sometimes we have a day because you know it's not good, it's not bad, it's just a day. But sometimes you need to have a week also.
Exactly. And yeah, we got a lot of loves coming out for you, Smiley Girl. Rose, lots of love and hugs, Smiley. Absolutely. Totally understand what you're going through, Smiley. Yes, we do. We lost Mushu a few weeks back, Lynn's bearded dragon. And so that was very hard, very tragic. So I think we've all experienced that. And that could be one of the shifts we're talking about because, you know, a shift in life can be about anything. But you know what? For everybody out there, I've got one more special guest. We haven't seen in a while here, but he is now gracing us with his presence. Yes, the rock star, master trader, Mr. Austin Clark. How you doing, buddy?
You're muted, Austin. There you go.
Yo, what's up, guys?
What's
Hi.
up?
Hello, Austin.
How we doing?
What's up?
Doing good, my man. How about yourself, brother? You saw the picture.
Dude, that is. I just looked at my screen.
Yep, it's Friday night. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, there you go. There's another one.
Dude. What's up, Chris?
And
So,
we're not going to
anyway.
have pro tonight.
You realize I'm gonna pull up the some meetup pictures, and I'm gonna make it my profile picture now, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay, PvPs are going to fly wild. It's going to get interesting. In fact, I'm ready for some combat here, guys. Let's go.
Oh,
Bring it on.
That was so funny.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Well,
tonight we
your
got some...
wingman's not here. Your
I know.
wingman
He's-
is not here, so you can't go into combat.
Okay, no combat tonight. So, by the way, I gotta let you guys know, where is our wingman? Where is Mr. Crow? Well, for Christmas, we sent Crow on a mission. And so, Crow, my son Horatio, daughter Sharray, and son's fiance are right now in Salt Lake City. Getting mental therapy. Isn't that what it's called?
Called group therapy.
Group therapy, that's right. Let's see.
Let's
See
see
if
if
I
you
can find
can
it real
pull it
quick.
up.
Yeah.
This was their
So,
Christmas present.
Damn it.
Blew them all away, but this was present. If he can pull it up.
If I can find, yeah. See, I should have had this prepared beforehand. But either way, they will not be joining us, but they might. They might ring in, because I did summon a link, might pop in somewhere during the live stream and give us a little bit of sneak of what they're up to.
Damn it, Rose. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who lost the game?
Fight me, babe.
There it is. Okay. Oh my god. Why does it hit? What is up with computers tonight? I give up.
I didn't do it.
You probably
So-
did.
So while
All I
you
did
were-
was restart this one.
Oh, you found it finally.
Yep.
I did. Find. I was trying to find the actual flyer that you could actually see. So they are right now in Salt Lake City watching the Citizen Soldier tour called Group Therapy. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have listened to Citizen Soldier. I love their music. They've got a very passionate concept of you're not alone. You can get through it. Some great songs out there. So if you haven't heard of their music, look them up. Listen to a few of them. But that's where we send them. They send them off to group therapy, literally.
Cool.
Not to be hipster, adjust glasses, but I was watching, or I should say listening and watching to Citizen Soldier back when they were just on TikTok.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. You're muted, Serenity.
So yeah, we shipped them all off.
I did it. Thank you. So yeah, their music really does go with Project Depression. It goes with a lot of the shine down. I like a lot of the messages about taking control. You're not alone. We all go through hardships. We all go through trials. You will survive. Pick yourself up and move on. And we're all here to do that. Okay. What did I miss?
While you're over there, like dying, fighting for your life, trying to pull stuff up on screen, like the comments have just been having a blast.
Well, all right, we got a whole party going. Hey, thanks. See, I swear I'm having a stroke. Expected to hear with me. Yes. Okay. Adjust glasses. Oh my god.
Hey, Wing Wan.
You can do it. Okay. We're ready. So, tonight's show is going to be a little bit different, guys. We've talked about this, and we kind of touched on this last night on Rags to Riches. We talked about how society is shifting. And I spent part of the day watching, the circus act, I guess you would call it, about the whole Biden impeachment thing and then other things about the Trump thing. What the hell? I mean, our society is falling apart. Our leaders, literally, they're in lawsuits left and right. We've got U.S. dollar getting de-dollarized. It's losing it. Our empire is falling apart. It's absolute chaos there. And that brings about the societal shift. So societal shift is basically anything that occurs, whether it's natural, whether under control or not, but it changes the natural course of society. Now, make no mistake, we are in the middle of that. So I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think about that? Do you think we're actually in a major societal shift, or is this just a little bit drama that's going to wash by?
I'm going to give other people an opportunity, like everybody else, the chance to speak their piece on this before I launch into a 40-minute rant.
Perfect. Hey, we got 2 hours. You're good. Okay, Alpha Cruz, what do you think, buddy? Where do you position that, man?
I would say we're in a very interesting space, in a very interesting time. We have crypto basically kind of on an uptrend now. People are finding it more possible to actually do things with it, with the advent of possible CBDCs. And then de-dollarization, I suppose, would have just been a byproduct of that to begin with. So, I see it as like it's a way where everything is shifting, but it's also a very interesting space where we don't know exactly what's going to come out of it. Like, are we going to see an actual decentralized form of monetary movement now? Could be. It could be very interesting if we do. I mean, not too long ago, Elon Musk stated they want to make X a PayPal, Venmo thing where you wouldn't even need your bank account. Just use X. Just be like, oh no, I got my X up. So it's a very interesting time, I would say. But yeah, that's my take. It's very short, but I think it's a very interesting time that we are in for money.
I think that works. So, Rosalind, what do you think about it? Do you see we're in a major shift, or do you think it's like, yeah, we'll get over it?
Yeah, I think we're in a major shift. Most definitely. And since I live in the same house as my little penguin pebbler, I'll let him go on with that one.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll wait till we'll push him to the edge there. Austin, my man. Now, you deal in a very different area than a lot of us. You're in the trading area, where a lot of us are in the DeFi or more the degen side. So, what are you seeing as far as a major shift?
I think it's a very three-dimensional answer, right? Like, you have on one end, more of the world is how you even put it? Like, laziness is at an all-time high, while the proof of work is at an all-time low. And I don't know, it's been a really interesting case study to see how we've been evolving throughout these years past, ever since COVID. And I think what's happening is we're having peak inflation in America. We're having peak economic meltdown as far as how the dollar, the value, right, and everything that is going there economically, but even just psychologically as civilians, everything that's being pushed down our throats now, it's becoming more, you have to be dependent on something instead of being an independent thinker. So I think in the next coming years, like in the next, like how this all is evolving as far as like an evolution, I think there's going to be a lot of pain, but it's the people that survive the pain are the ones that actually are able to go through it, want to put themselves through it instead of just being, lazy about it. I think those are the people that's going to make the most money at the end of this. So like, even if you're wanting to relate this to crypto right now, the people that are making the most money are learning how to monetize it right now instead of like just depending on some hope and a dream gamble opportunity, right? And then in the coming years, as crypto just consistently gets more adopted, Bitcoin is less looked down upon as a retirement portfolio allocation. That's when the pain is going to slowly subsidize and we're going to go into the next, growth cycle. But yeah, I think, not to get too doom and gloom, but it's like a very hard question to answer in a singular sentence, I'm like Cyril on this. I could talk about this one for 5 hours.
Right. And that's kind of what I figured. And this isn't just crypto based. This is everywhere in life. And, like I started, I'm watching our president and the guy who was president, wants to be president. Both of them are in lawsuits. I mean, they're spending half their days in courts because they're so screwed up. These are our leaders? What the hell is the world coming to? This is getting insane. Now, on top of it, the US dollar is no longer dominant. It's getting replaced. Now, that's going to bring about some very interesting topics here. And I know Cyril's got a whole bunch of stuff to share with us, so I'm going to bring him up here in just a second. But Alpha Cruz, tell us about this. Reminds me of a group here in SA, Cape Town, Living, that's built an application that actively uses Bitcoin Lightning Network with an actual real-world usage. That's interesting. Do you guys think that digital currency truly is going to replace modern-day currency?
Yes.
Yes.
Think so?
Absolutely.
Look, if you think about today, we all use banking apps. I mean, I have 2 banking apps because I have 2 banks. And isn't that just a form of digital currency already? Like, we've already been making the shift towards digital currencies. Most of us use credit cards or debit cards or whatever cards. We have points on different places that we go to, stores that you shop at a lot. Isn't that already digital currency? And it's just a different shift, a dynamic in where we don't really think about the physical money anymore.
Right.
That's bloody amazing.
It really is. It's wild the way things are going. Yet at the same time, for the last decade, people say, "Oh, crypto's just a scam." Man, this was going this way. We knew it was. We're just some of the people on the cutting edge of this, the educators, the ones who got in a little bit early. Imagine what's to be like 5-10 years from now when people are forced to get into it. Like, oh my God, what do we do?
Yeah, I think we're in a huge shift. And I don't think it is necessarily like a pre-war, like physical troop deployment type shift. I think it's more economic. I think it's more psychological. And I think it's the people are tired of all the crap that's happened, like in the US. That's what I know is the US. So much crap going on in the politics and the economic system. People are fed up and they're finally calling bullshit and raising hell. But like we saw that one heard that one representative lose her shit today in the hearing, that it is a huge waste of time. These impeachment processes, it's a waste of money. There are bigger things they could be working on, like the oversight committee, like she was saying, they could be water, clean water, environmental issues. There are bigger fish to fry. There are bigger issues to tackle than whether somebody's money in the wrong place. Give me a break.
Exactly. I agree. So, Smiley, what do you think? Now, you're always a very happy, easygo person. There's drama going everywhere. I mean, the freaking world is falling apart, obviously, all the way around us. What are you seeing in your perspective? Is that bothering you, or you going pretty smooth with it?
Okay, couple things. First of all, I think that we have had a major societal shift happening for hundreds and hundreds of years. I don't think this is anything new. I think we constantly shift and change and adjust to what's ever happening in the government and politics and the climate and everything and people. But the other thing too is I've noticed recently that there's this huge rise in individualism, I would call it, where we've kind of moved away in this country where I live in the United States from thinking more community and family minded and just really thinking more about ourselves. And we see it so much in the media. They promote very much taking care of yourself, being the best you can be, but, with other slogans. But also it kind of then makes it a very selfish culture, I think, and it also isolates ourselves too, because we're kind of fed all this constant messaging that we need to do it ourselves, take care of ourselves, be ahead of the pack and away from everybody else. But then we have all these other problems from isolation and mental health and not having or feeling that we have people that we can rely on or count on or even talk to. So that's my opinion.
Interesting. Well, you got a lot there. I'm impressed. Somebody wound up Smiley Girl. Here we go. Okay, we're going down the rabbit hole. Says 100% Smiley. I've noticed the selfish shift in Australia too. And that's an interesting topic because we've talked about that before. Is at some point in time you've got to watch out for yourself because nobody else is going to take care of you. But then you've got to ask, when does it become a selfish act versus self-sustaining? Sometimes you got to make healthy boundaries. You got to do all these things. And that's what we talk about here is at what point in time does that become destructive to others? So it's really a fine balancing act. And I agree, Smiley. I think a lot of that is technology. It allows us to reach so many people in the world. However, it also isolates us and puts us in little tiny rooms like mine. And I spend all day in here. Nobody sees me. So it's really wild how that goes. So, Cyril, okay, gonna turn you loose, but hold on. Okay, Cyril, let's do it, buddy. Give it to me.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a shift, right? We've talked about it quite a lot across our shows and everything like that. And a lot of people like to think that America is a democracy or corporatism. No, they're an oligarchy, right? If you're not familiar with the definition of that, you should be. But it's basically where the power actually resides within a small group of individuals who are usually selected for various qualifying traits, whether that's fame or wealth. In this case, it is typically wealth. And society is a set of rules, right? It's a set of boundaries that everyone agrees to. And culture is what arises from humans being humans, right? The arts, the freedom to actually explore, our desires, our passions, etc. And the problem with culture, as society has a problem with it, is that it tends to allow people to share ideas, right? And that's why society typically does not actually embrace culture, if you stop and think about it. Because
right, they're always telling you what you should do. This is cool, that's not, this is right, that's what society does.
Right, and society agreed to essentially play the money game a very long time ago, for some reason, right? I love the profile picture there, Rosalind. That's our two parrots' heads photoshopped over top of our faces from our wedding photo. But I digress. When you have the power residing within a certain group of individuals, they're not going to want to relinquish that. They are going to do whatever is necessary to maintain that power, right? And that's why you wind up with all the politicians being geriatrics, the president's struggling to even walk up and down stairs, all of these issues. What do we call it? That lead paint stare?
Right.
And they're going to want to protect their interests. And of course, they own the property. They own the companies. They own all of the actual assets because they benefited from the early economic power grab that was fresh off the backs of nothing but pure exploitation. See, I'm going to make a statement that some may consider to be controversial, but there is no such thing as a good billionaire. End of. I don't know a single person here on stage or in the audience who, if they suddenly had $1 billion, wouldn't see their net worth halve very rapidly because they would want to spend the majority of that money, because who can really spend $1 billion in their lifetime? Nobody. Every single person here, their first thought would be, sweet, I can get myself out of debt, pay off my friends, families, whatever, right? If you had $1 billion, wouldn't you just go through and take all the stress away from the people that you care about and then try to help others?
Absolutely.
You wouldn't remain a billionaire for long.
No.
Because guess what? You're a good person, right?
Right.
There is no good billionaire.
That's an interesting concept.
Well, they taught, see, here's the thing, and it's another hot take. Our country is operated the exact same way as a cult. So a cult is founded on some shard of religious principles, right?
Right.
It is led by one or a small handful of individuals. You give them your money, you give them your property, and then they benefit from your labor. You tend the fields, you do whatever the culty things they want you to do, whether it's sell Girl Scout cookies. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I go too far? Or, whatever it is they want you to do. And they benefit monetarily from your labor. That's our country, is it not? That is these mega corporations, these rich, wealthy Rothschilds, the Rothschilds who invested what would be, in today's money, billions of dollars creating our public education system, because they were, and I quote, concerned about an educated proletariat. If you are unfamiliar with what the word proletariat means, just go Google it. But they do not want you to be capable of critical thinking. Why do you think a bell rings when school starts? Well, when the shift starts at the factory, a bell rings. When it's lunchtime, recess, the bell rings. When it's time to punch out, the bell rings. You sit there and do monotonous tasks of what you are told to do over and over and over. You are being trained to be a laborer. That is it.
Interesting.
So that they can then benefit from the fruits of your labor, because corporate profits are soaring. Wealth is being drained because trickle-down economics do work when the cup at the top has a limit, when the cup sizes have a cap. But when the cup at the top is elastic and infinite in size, there is nothing that will ever spill over and trickle down. Society as it currently sits will never get better, because the only reason why our monetary system even works is because it is borrowing from the labor of the next generation. Money
That's a very good point.
be a store of wealth and value, and also be used as a medium of exchange. Money needs
Doesn't
to
work.
have an expiration date.
Right.
But I'm going to shut up for a second.
Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, you covered a lot of good points, and a lot of people might be upset. Might say, "Oh, well, that's just wrong. We're Americans. We think our own way. Land of the free." And I love my country, and family has served in the military. Wild Angel is a veteran. But yeah, you're right. The leaders of this country, whether it be the governments or society itself, the news, all that, it's all controlled by big business, and they tell us what to think, what to eat, what's popular, what's right, what's wrong, what's pretty, what's ugly. And they have tried to force that. And the problem is when you don't fit that mold, when you want to stand out and speak out against it or do something totally different, like, me, show up here and do whatever the hell we want on a Friday night. Yeah, I get in trouble sometimes. I've actually had some videos say, no, sorry, we can't do that video. We can't show that video. Like, okay, fine. It's interesting. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Who wants to put their 2 cents in now?
I'm just curious. Is it too personal to ask Cyan Rose, do you homeschool your kid?
We did, and we're about to again.
Nice. Okay.
I'm sorry, but they don't teach you anything of value in school. They teach you how to memorize short term so that you can pass a test.
Right.
Absolutely agree.
My daughter can sit there and hold a conversation with you and talk about the depths of outer space and neutron stars and densities. She can talk about, how you want to track your inventory and expenses versus revenue for her business. Like she knows that stuff.
That's awesome.
I love the profile picture there, Austin. But it's homeschool. If you want to be able to properly teach your kid, there are tons of resources. There are places that you can get assistance with what to do if that is something you want to explore.
I'm definitely doing that. Is my audio working? Yeah. Anyway, I've had basically mini fights about this already. I will say, I'm homeschooling my children, and then Betty will say, no, they need to go to a public school because they need to know other people. I'm like, no, I mean, enough people for them to meet. You know how many personalities I have? And she'll be like, wow, that's a good point. I was like, exactly. So I'll homeschool them. I'll get them tutors. They can have friends. My friends are all going to have kids. So I don't see the problem, but I'm going to teach them proper things. I'm going to teach them music. I'm going to teach them languages. I'm going to teach them things that will be actively good for their mental development.
Good for you, Alpha.
Yeah.
This makes sense.
It does. Now, do you guys worry about them fitting into society? If they're homeschooled and they're separated from other groups, do you worry about them fitting in social events later in their life?
Is that based upon the assumption that that's a good thing? That they have to fit in?
True.
It's a good point.
True.
Well, the thing about it now that wasn't really accessible or true for homeschooling, way back in the day, showing my age, is now you have Facebook groups for homeschoolers, in your area. We did that with Lily when we originally did the homeschooling. I joined the homeschooling groups. The homeschooling that we went through was Connections Academy at the time. And with them, you oversaw everything, and it was so great. And they even would give you a list of people in your area. Of course, you could opt in or out of, but they would give you the emails of people in the area and links to the local groups and everything like that, so that you could connect with the homeschooling people in your area. So you could set up play dates, you could set up socials, so that wasn't really a thing, worrying about, oh, is she not going to be socialized? I mean, she's feral, but she is socialized.
I like that, feral.
The other thing, too, is the assumption that you can only be socialized with people of your same age and gender. And that's not necessarily a good thing to be that way all the time. When you homeschool, you can, hang out with the elderly and babies and all different people of different age groups and cultures and different experiences. I think that's better for a kid growing up, in my opinion.
I love that. One of the groups actually, I absolutely love this woman. She would always bring her son, and her son was nonverbal and autistic, and my daughter just immediately, she went over and she's like, "Oh, honey," she's like, "he's not going to talk to you," because of course she's just chatting up a storm. She's like, he's not going to say anything. And she's like, "That's okay. I'll just sit here." And he's, doodling around on his tablet in the little play area. And she sat by him. She sat with him almost the entire time and just chatted away. And he was completely okay with it. I'm like, if she's talking his ear off too much, and it's getting too much for him, let me know. I'll pull her aside. She's like, he's honestly loving it.
Aw.
And so like, I think in regular school, she wouldn't really get that freedom to do that interaction.
Right.
Right.
No, because
I know my
kids learn from other
granddaughter.
kids. I'm sorry, the lag, Wild Angel. You had I think we started talking at the same time. Go ahead.
My granddaughter, my daughter tried to homeschool both of my grandkids. They are 6 and 5. She's actually been homeschooling since they were like 2 and 3. But my grandson can't handle homeschool. He actually he does better. It sounds weird, but he does better in a mainstream classroom. My granddaughter, on the other hand, cannot handle being in a classroom. She's bored. When they do her testing, in some areas, she's 2 and 3 grades ahead of where she should be. She's just finishing 1st grade. She's doing 3rd and 4th grade in some things when she's homeschooling. Other areas, yes, she is a little delayed. My daughter said it was funny. She was teaching her the grammar and punctuation and everything. She forgot to teach her how to read a book. So if you give her the grammar, she's up at 3rd and 4th grade, but she can't read. She forgot the sight words and everything. She teaches her spelling, but she taught her how to read a book. She forgot to teach her to read a book. So they're catching up over this summer, but she give her her own pace. But my grandson, on the other hand, he has to have that almost snail's pace that a lot of schools go at in order to comprehend everything. And they are both on the spectrum. My grandson's a little lower functioning than my granddaughter, but I think that has a lot to do with why one does better in one environment and one and not in another. Just don't put him on the school bus because he starts fighting because kids insist on touching him.
That's a fightable offense. I get it.
And so he got kicked
Absolutely.
in kindergarten. He got kicked off the school bus in kindergarten.
I got suspended 1st grade. I can't say much.
Kindergarten on the bus. I almost went fist to fist with a kid who wouldn't stop putting his hand into my hoodie pocket because it was a pass through and he thought that was cool or something. And yeah, we almost went to fisticuffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
Lily ended up
actually
getting in on a
used
fight on the bus too.
Oh,
Some girl decided to jam her nails into Lily's arm and just drug them down her arm. She comes off the bus in tears, and I'm like, what the heck happened? And so I talked to her. Of course, the bus had already pulled away by the time I got her calmed down enough to tell me what happened. I immediately called the school, and basically what it came down to from the school was the girl either immigrated or had been adopted from Russia, and she didn't speak any English. And
how does language decide whether you're just an ass to somebody or not? It shouldn't make a difference.
I don't know, but she was trying to prevent Lily from getting off the bus or from standing up and getting off the bus, and they were like, there was just this language barrier she didn't understand, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't understand. Like, does she not have an interpreter? Like, how can we, better handle a situation like this? And Lily just pipes up with, well, can I teach her how to play nicely with people in English? And that was it. Like, she just wanted to be the girl's best friend and everything like that, but that's our kid.
Jesus.
I was thinking something totally different. Yeah. I was thinking something. Let me teach her how to be nice in the right language. Give me a baseball bat. Let's go have a chat.
But for perspective,
JJ, go ahead, Sai.
because the other side of the coin, when someone is not respecting appropriate boundaries and she knows they understand that, she'll sock them. There was a kid on the playground. He was I think it was like the grade or 2 grades above, and he was harassing people, pushing them, shoving them, stuff like that, the younger grades. And Lily was like, knock it off. And kid was like flailing his arms and everywhere and like hit her. And, she was like, yo, you got to stop doing that. You start flailing, so she poof, right in the stomach. Stop him.
Drop him like a bad habit. Good girl.
Definitely.
So, Braden, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hi, Braden.
Hi, Braden.
Hey, Braden sneaked in.
He did. He snuck in the back door. Now, he had an invite. He's one of the special kids. Can't hear him. Okay, I don't know if he's talking or not, so he is talking. I see his mouth moving, but we don't hear you, bud.
Some audio issues.
He broke his computer, too.
It's just tech issue central again this week.
Said, hold on.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, you are lagging really bad, Wild Angel. Sorry. So, yeah, we'll try not to talk over the top. But, so, Alpha Cruise, you had a couple of comments here and there. So, what do you think about this? I mean, you've heard about our stories with our kids and Rosenside with his kids. So, tell us about your experience, buddy.
I don't have a kid yet, but I do plan to.
What do you plan on doing, though? There he is.
There we go.
Get it Braden's way.
You can go if you want to. I was just working on my mic. Sorry if I interrupted you. I figured it'd be like Discord and mute you.
Oh, that works.
It's all good.
So, right, but you've talked about having kids, Alpha Cruise. So, I'm curious. In today's society, with the shifts, with everything going on, I mean, it's absolute chaos right now. I mean, anybody can agree just looking at society. So, how do you feel about bringing kids in this, and what would you do differently than what we're talking about? How would you learn from our mistakes to do it the right way?
See, that's where talking a lot comes in very handy. Being a very talkative person comes in very handy with that. I've heard a lot of things and seen a lot of things that can work very well, but obviously experience styles the best. So now that I know there's people that have been homeschooling, I am finally like people I can talk to. But some things that I know are very good is learning multiple languages, as it is very good for brain development. So that's one thing that I really want to focus on. And music also, again, for brain development and for emotional intelligence and mental development. Like, it's very important, although a lot of people don't know that. And the fact that you can only acquire languages before you go through what's it called, puberty. After that you can only learn languages. So that's the kind of things that I want to focus on, because I know those things are skills that will be able to really help someone get through life completely, at least from my perception, especially since those are very good at fostering a mind that can think different, out of the box in a sense. And also why I don't really want my children to go to a public school, because it has that sense of, oh, math is this, science is this, and it just blocks people in. I want to completely prevent that and just give my children the possibility to learn whatever they feel is interesting and pursue that to their best ability. That's
Okay,
why I'm
so you-
also advocate for people going to special schools, technical schools, stuff like that. Although often it's frowned upon. I don't know why. Like, what the hell? You're learning skills. Go.
Right.
Music school. Go. Art school. Go. Boulder school. Go. Come on.
So you're definitely more towards the cultural structure versus the social structure.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So now, Alpha, you and Braden are now in both different countries, of course, here than the U.S. than most of us are. But Braden, you are in a very unique position because, of course, I know you grew up here, or you went to school here in Boise with my son and my family.
Yep.
And now you're down in what country?
El Salvador.
Thank you, El Salvador. I can never remember that. So you had to have experienced like a culture shock of some kind. So what do you notice? Because I mean, here in America, things are chaos. I'm sure you've seen on the news. All our presidents are going to jail. They're all in. It's freaking chaos. What's it like down there? And did you go through a culture shock when you changed over?
Yeah, good job, Alpha. It is the Bitcoin country. We're buying 1 Bitcoin per day. And we have been, and I think in the beginning we bought like 27,000 or 270,000 Bitcoin in the beginning when it was like 14,000 per coin. So we're set as a country for a long time. And the president has I don't know how many thousands of Bitcoin. But yeah, we're set. But yes, I did have a lot of culture shock, mainly the temperature and of course the language being Spanish. I wasn't used to that. I mean, I learned a little bit in school, but really not enough to get me by. And the Spanish I learned was different than they speak down here, of course. They use different slang words and just different words in general. So it was really like starting from scratch. And me being under, say, 25, it's a lot easier for me to learn than it is for my dad to learn Spanish. I mean, I've been here for 3 years, pretty much straight, and I've learned like maybe 70%, and he's like maybe 10. Yeah, dialect. I couldn't remember the word. I'm thinking in Spanish now, so bear with me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't speak or think in Spanish. So, man, you got me beat all the way across. Now I'm old. I couldn't learn it even if I wanted to.
And I fly in Spanish too, which is a little dangerous sometimes because it's illegal to actually fly in Spanish, but they via worldwide laws, they require you to speak in English for all communications. But 90% of people here don't know English that are pilots, so it becomes an issue. If I speak English on the radio, nobody else has any situational awareness about where I'm at. And if they speak Spanish and I don't know Spanish, I have no situational awareness about where they're at.
Right. That makes
So
sense.
you guys, I mean, if I didn't know Spanish, I would be a lot worse off than I am now. Not knowing where anybody else was in the pattern or what other people are going to do, that's dangerous. That's really dangerous, and that's something they need to fix. And also, the test to get this little piece of plastic right here that I just got last week, actually. This is my license.
Yay!
It took me...
Congrats!
It was 1,100 questions that I had to take in 1 hour in Spanish. And I got to get higher than a 90%.
Oh my god.
Damn, that's crazy.
You
So
do the math. You do the math on questions per second on that one.
3.2 seconds per question.
Yeah.
I can't even read that fast. What the hell?
And here is the study guide for my next test that I have to take.
That's not a study guide. That's a freaking phone book, man.
And it's all in Spanish
Ooh.
Oh, lovely.
that I have to memorize. So, yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
that's
What the heck?
900. That's 970 pages right there.
Yeah, that's a phone book, man. That's not a school book. Even my
Yeah.
school book for electrical was only this thick. That's insane.
Yeah.
So, that's really interesting you bring that up, Braden, because that's kind of, what we're talking about is that whole societal shift here. You're saying that you're supposed to speak English everywhere in the world when piloting an aircraft, yet 90% of the pilots don't speak English. So is that part of the shift that's coming? Is it, are we going to be seeing laws in that in the aviation industry where, English is no longer dominant, just like the US dollar?
Yes, I think the English, it might stay, whereas the US dollar is not going to stay. We already know that the US dollar is going bye-bye. But I hope English does stay because, in my opinion, from learning Spanish, it's a lot more advanced at describing things. It's a lot less concise than Spanish is, but you can describe things a lot more in depth.
Okay.
Yes, Alpha Cruise. It will probably remain dominant because they do teach it here, and if you know English, you get paid a lot. Like they require it now in college here to learn English, to set the students up for the future.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but both English and Spanish were derived from Latin.
Right. Okay. So Alpha, come on, man! You got a lot to say. Jump up here and say it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, wait. So we've had a lot of dominant languages in the history of the planet, and at some points we've had one language that was basically had to be spoken by everyone around the world, whether it was Latin at some point. I think, what's the language that the Greeks speak? Well, anyway, that language was also dominant at some point, and at the end of the day, most of them eventually fell out. So there's always a small, 1% possibility that could happen to English too, because it might be a language that's better at description, that's better at the nuances of how you speak it, that's better at the just everything that English does. There's more words maybe, although unlikely, because what we have, how many words in English already? Probably several millions or tens of millions by this point, because there's always new words and the meanings of words are constantly changing. Like literal means literal and figurative at this point. So, it's to the point where unless English, I suppose, can completely, I don't know, become something that is able to always adapt, there's a very likely the chance that it could also end up like Latin, a forgotten language at some point. Well, technically Latin isn't forgotten, it's just not spoken anymore. Well,
So-
barely.
Right. Now, Alpha, you bring up a really good point, and I'm going to wind up Sorrow and turn them loose here again. So we're talking about Latin, we're talking about the Roman Empire, and we're talking about empires. And the thing is, at one point in time, they were all dominant, but then, of course, they fell. And now they're just history, they're forgotten. So I know, Sorrow, you and I were talking last night about the fall of empires. So, buddy, I'm going to turn you loose, man. Hold on. Okay, let me have it, buddy. Go for it.
So, I mean, it follows 250-year cycles, right? And you can see that all throughout history, going really far back. The Assyrians, Sumerians, Mongol Empire, it goes really far back. But they all follow these cycles, right? And prior, if we go like 2 cycles back, it was the Dutch, right? And then their empire started to fade. They had their what was it? Their tulip craze, right? That was their version of whatever nonsense we have going on right now, where everything's just going sky high for no freaking reason, and then it all implodes, right? The housing crash, crash of the internet, etc. And from there, their empire faded out. On came Empire of, Britain, Great Britain, all of that coming through, and they wound up becoming the dominant empire, and their currency became the dominant currency. Just like, the Dutch, their currency was dominant. Whoever's doing the most trade, right? We've been doing a lot of importing recently, but we're also throwing fisticuffs with a lot of our neighbors. And so they're no longer really doing as much trade with us. And so our dollar dominance is slowly petering on down. I think right now it's at 58%, but it's dropping down quick. It was 64%, I think, dominant in 2017. And I know that percentage-wise doesn't seem like huge, but you got to think that represents like global money storage. Like that's a lot of money, that percentage. But yeah, comments are going crazy over there. You're still being steady.
There's like 3 conversations going all over the place. So yeah, I'm just posting those. So we got all kinds of fun here. And now, Sarah, one of the big things we're seeing is BRICS Nation. Now, that's something very unique. Has that ever been seen in history where countries band together and say, nope, you know what, screw you guys, we're done playing, we're going to start our own shit? Is that normal?
That's been seen all throughout history. I mean, hell, the U.S. started that way. So I'm going to try to keep this a brief history lesson, but it's really going to explain a lot of why the U.S. is the way it is. So way back, going back to when, let's dial it back all the way back to the Pilgrims, right? Do you know that group's history prior to coming here and starting settling, and the majority of the early immigrants that were coming here? Are you aware of what their history was? Probably not. They like to say, oh, we were persecuted for, our religion and blah, 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 blah. Like that's the message that they put out there, right? And that they came here for religious freedom. And that's why freedom is the founding fathers came together and made freedom and freedom. No, dude, nobody else wanted them around because they were dicks. Like that group of people were absolute jerks to everybody. Like they were trying to be all, we are holier than thou, we're pious, like, all of you guys absolutely suck, we deserve all of the money, like blah, 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 really trying to climb those ladders. And so they were basically told, get the heck out, right? And so off they went. And what was the very first stuff they started doing here, but exploiting the natives. Right? I mean, it's there, plain as day. They scrubbed a lot of it out. They scrubbed a lot of that history out. Like the textbooks that a lot of the kids are getting now in school says, for the Trail of Tears, the Indians chose to leave. And I know damn well that, everybody here was at least old enough to know that, no, they were forced out. Right. I grew up learning a lot of these histories because I did grow up in the South. Right.
And now, real quick on that, Sarah, I can tell you firsthand. So if Hope Giver was here, she would be screaming at things because, yes, she is Native Cherokee. And I do know that her great grandmother traveled the Trail of Tears. And so, yes, I've heard horror stories. I know that our family has that heritage. And yeah, there was no asking to leave. There was, oh, yeah, we're going to slaughter you. We're going to screw you. Yeah, they don't have a choice. And make no mistake, that's the way Americans have always been. We were thrown out of every civilized country in the world. Literally thrown out. That's where we came from. We are the rejects.
And when you look at it, right, people it's only recently becoming a thing where people are really starting to study something called epigenetics, where there are a lot of traits that are genetic. And if you have a group of people who all behave and act a certain way, right, they're going to pass those traits down because it is carried genetically. And so it certainly explains a lot. And when they ran out of others to exploit, and everybody else was looking at America in the early days and seeing all of this growth, these newfound resources, and so they were immigrating. It became this dream that anybody could come here and find wealth, and that was true until the wealth started running out and the properties started consolidating and the corporations started selling ease to people, right? Selling them easier livings because, you shouldn't have to rough it with all your newfound wealth. And so the people settled down with their wealth. They started spending, they started enjoying the luxuries of life, etc. And it just started cycling downhill until they became the exploited.
I realize I'm muted. And yeah, you're right. It's crazy. And that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, this is where society is going. And our society is screwed up. And with a little, tell you a little bit about myself, how I feel so passionate about this. Some people are going to hate me for this fact, but I got to tell you something. I have never once in my life voted. And I'll tell you why. Because the Constitution was written that the representative will be of the people, by the people, and for the people. There has not been a decent representative of the people since, I don't know, ever. I mean, what the hell? These people are buying their elections. They're buying everything. So how is that voting? It depends on who you pay. So the whole government is screwed up. It's just nothing more than a sham. I mean, look at it. Our presidents are in court, guys. Come on, what the hell? These are not people elected, nor are they ones that we want in control of shit. You wouldn't give me your bank account, would you? No. So make no mistake. Society is a mess. Now, Sarah, like you're saying, we've seen this time and time again. Now, what happens when one empire starts to fall and another one starts to rise? What do we always see at that point in time in history?
A war. Every single time, for the nation that's rising, for the one that's declining, because they see that opportunity that you're on the way out. Let's seize. Because it's that same game that the governments play. They all. Ours is really bad with it, but
it is.
Yeah, and exactly what Brown Eye said. Big business and billionaires choose the governments. And at this point, our government's been a puppet since the beginning, and they've been all orchestrating so much of this nonsense. Because if you talk to the individual, everybody just wants to kind of relax, enjoy life, just, sure, they want that fulfillment, they want to seek their passion. Well, they can always find something in their field, right? And maybe they just want to sit on a beach and become the best at painting, right? And really focus on that. And then society can find value from that as well, because we do consume the art. What do you think you're doing every time you're binge watching Netflix?
Exactly. And I keep forgetting I'm muted. Sorry. And, that's a good point, because art comes in so many forms. You've got from movies to music to painting, sculpting, pottery, crocheting. Take your pick. All of it is a form of art or expression. So, yeah, there you go. Even the ducks. Absolutely. It's ducks went by. So, real quick, Wild Angel. Now, I know you are a veteran of the military. Now, we've been slamming, of course, on the U.S. government quite a bit here. And, it's our honest opinions. Nobody's right or wrong per se. We all have our opinions, and everybody is absolutely valid to do so. We want to give you a safe place to share that. So I'm kind of curious. How do you feel about what's happening here in America and the fact that you are a veteran? How does that affect you personally?
I'm ashamed of the country I live in. I'm ashamed of what the government is doing to the people I protected. I didn't serve to serve the government. I served to keep the people in this country safe. I am horrified by the government I have seen develop and the things that I'm seeing it do. And the people that are running it make me sick.
That's on a good day. You got to hear it on a bad day. Trust me, it ain't pretty.
Yeah, exactly what CK the Ghost
Yep.
said. Right?
I agree, CK.
Totally agree, CK.
Totally. And, It's really interesting. So we've got several generations up here. I mean, you got me and Wild Angel, which I think we're probably the oldest here. And the youngest is probably Braden and Smiley, I'm guessing. I don't know Smiley's age. I do know Braden's. And so I know he definitely qualifies as the younger of the group here. What do you guys think? So Smiley, let's turn over to you, dear. What have you noticed change just in your lifetime? That, what do you think the future is going to hold? What have you seen that you're not real impressed with?
Oh man, that's a hard question.
Thank you.
I'm just confused because I don't know what the government is actually doing. I seriously don't see real goals. I don't see anything being accomplished. Everybody talks and talks and talks. And then I look around and I see homeless people in my city and I see horrible things not, ever getting talked about or fixed. And I wonder, what am I supposed to do about it? So that's where I feel terribly ineffective as a citizen. I don't exactly know what to do. So sorry, I don't have a really eloquent answer.
Actually, that's a perfect answer because I think we all feel that way. I mean, I could even say, you know what? Braden felt so much that way, he left the damn country. He's like, screw you people, I'm out. This place is fucked up.
Well, I mean, when you consider that the U.S. alone spends more on military defense than the next 9 nations combined.
Wow.
And there's homeless people.
I know.
And there's people starving. And
Yes.
there's 68,000 people a year die because they don't have access to medical care in this country.
And children too, and that makes me sick. That bothers me the most, that there are kids that aren't getting what they need and this money goes other places. I'm like, wait a minute, what about our people? And I don't understand why they get ignored so much.
And, one that really has always irritated the shit out of me and just pissed me off, put it simply, is the ones that are most forgotten are the veterans, the ones who have actually fought for this country. And they have the highest suicide rate and the biggest trauma. And that's why I wish Britt was here. That's what drove her into psychology, because she's dealt with those people. She dealt with my brother and my family who's had those type of traumas. They are the ones the government is the first to push them outdoors. Saying, you're not our problem anymore. And man, that's fucked up, putting it simply.
I agree. I have seen so many veterans not be able to get care because they don't put enough money into the system that they need to take care of the veterans. Now, I will say, I discharged in 95, so it's been almost 30 years. I will say, I have seen a huge shift in this area. The medical care is getting better. They're looking at alternative therapies. The quality of care has improved in our area. In Boise, it's like night and day. But it's still not enough.
It really is.
We have with Afghanistan and Persian Gulf and all that, there was such a huge influx into the VA system. With all the mental health issues is one of the worst areas of treatment. Physically, they can fix anybody. They can get you functional, but that mental health side is severely lacking. At one point, I was getting mental health treatment in the VA system. I could only get an appointment once every 3 months to speak to a counselor.
Wow.
Because there was too many people and they were trying to serve everybody. And they wouldn't let them go outside the VA. Now we have that option, but it's just insane. I saw so many people I care about not come back from conflict mentally. They were here physically, but they didn't come back, and it kills me.
Absolutely, and it's totally insane. Now, just like Braden was typing here, so Braden, man, I'm going to turn it over to you, bud. Share your thoughts.
So, like,
Fix your
I
mind.
can't hear you, Braden.
One second.
Okay.
That's better.
Hello.
Yep.
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I was saying, in the eyes of the government, the veterans are the least of their concern because they're the ones that are about to die. Say they're 50 or 45 or something like that. They only have what? At an average, maybe 30, 40 years to live. I mean, look at the average lifespan in the United States. It's maybe only 75, 80. In other countries, it's longer. But they don't want to, the government doesn't want you paying for prescriptions and other things for only 20 years. They want you paying it in for life, for 40, 50, 60 years. So their biggest subjects and the people that they're working to make sicker are people like me and, younger people that they can stick in a hospital for the rest of their life for the next 50, 60 years and milk hundreds of thousands of dollars out of per year for the next 60 years instead of the next 20 years to continue to fund the military that Cyber was just talking about that really isn't doing much to protect us. Yeah, they can show force, but do they really keep our country safe and protected from threats? Maybe not outside the country, but protect us from threats domestic, like they say they do. Protect us against foreign and domestic enemies? I don't think so. Because the biggest enemy to us now are the leaders of the country. And the military can't touch them because they control the military.
Dude, I saw
So that's
a
my
video
thoughts.
earlier. Sorry, I think we had a little bit of lag there. Didn't mean to cut the end there.
You're good, Braden. So no, I appreciate you sharing that, Braden. And I think you're right, man. It's really interesting because right now what is totally screwing our company. We see the SEC in the crypto world. We're seeing it. That's just a piece of the puzzle, man. That's the most obvious. That's the one they want us to see. Think about that. Big media is controlled by 3 companies of the world. And so make no mistake, you're seeing what they want you to see. The real question here is, what don't they want you to see? And so, that brings about a lot of questions. They don't want you to see about the veterans. And so, Rose, you were talking about your dad here in your chat. Tell us about it, please.
So, my dad kept going in. He had issues with his knees, and he had a really bad issue with his one ankle. Kept going in. Oh, it's just gout. That's the only thing that the VA hospital would. It's just gout. We'll give you like a cortisone shot or whatever. Send you home. He was to the point where he couldn't walk on it. And if his foot wasn't swelling up, his wrist was swelling up. Well, come to find out, some years ago while he was working, he fell. And, of course, the VA just kind of blew him off and everything like that. You're fine, whatever. But he had a fracture in his ankle and he had a fracture in his wrist that apparently never healed. And the one that was in his wrist ended up doing a lot of damage. So he went to the ER for an unrelated issue, and they found the one in his wrist because his whole hand was swollen up. So they found the fracture in his wrist. And they went in, they did surgery, they fixed it. Then the issue that he had with his knee flared up again. And there was a lot going on. Again, the VA just kept sweeping it under the rug. He finally went to the ER and he ended up getting admitted to the hospital because he had sepsis. You know, they had let it go on for so long, and he kept begging them for help, and they would not help him. You know, but it was the fact that he had an addiction status on his record with the VA that they refused to help him. They refused to do anything. And he kept telling them, I don't want narcotics. I don't want pain meds. I want this fix. And they didn't care.
That is so sad and terrible. And, you know, I've heard that time and time again that, yeah, the soldiers, the ones who serve are the ones that are often overlooked. And they say, well, you have an addiction status. We can't give you this. You know what? We all have an addiction. Society is an addict. It's a drug. We have all gone through some sort of addiction or another, whether it be through TV shows, shoes, shopping, drugs, doesn't matter. We all have some level there, and society has pushed that on us, and it's the leaders who have pushed that to us. So it's really interesting when you start thinking about it. Yeah, exactly, Sarah. It's about the money. And so, you know, just like we were talking earlier, we're seeing a fall of an empire. Make no mistake. This is happening right now. Now, a lot of us are involved in cryptocurrency to kind of cushion us from that. We're separating ourselves from the rise of one and fall of another. But there are things that are going to happen. And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because make no mistake, we are living in that time, and you're seeing it every single day. You're seeing presidents on TV going to court. You're seeing other countries saying, screw you, we're not playing with you anymore, so we are not using the US dollar. We see countries where the pilots speak a foreign language, even though the law says, hey, you have to speak English. So like 90% of us don't know how, so screw off. We're not playing. So the future is coming, and we're already seeing some of these. Now, Cyril, you and I were talking about this last night, where we're already seeing some form of, we could say, quote, warfare occurring. You know, what is this next, what do you see, or guess, that this rise and fall of our empire to the next empire, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be a boots on the ground kind of warfare? Or what do you guys think?
So I don't think that it is going to be, I don't think it's going to be nuclear war, right? That's what you expect. And what do we always say about the markets? But if everybody's expecting it, that's not what's going to happen. Nah,
Right.
It's definitely going to be a cyber war, and we're already under attack. If you don't know about it, last month, the entire internet almost got taken down, right? I think I talked about it briefly before. I forget where, though, so I'll just give you a brief cliff note on it. The majority of the internet operates off of publicly maintained GitHub repositories, right? That users volunteer their time to commit code updates to make sure that different program utilities play nice with other program utilities. And so whenever an update gets pushed, you ever have a program and it says, hey, there's an update, click to download, right? And you click it and you install your update. A lot of that for the internet, like behind the scenes, is managed on publicly maintained repos. And so there was this particular program called ZK Utils, and it's responsible for, it's a compression algorithm to make it faster to send data, reducing file size, etc. And every internet server uses it. And well, this guy had been volunteering his time for the last 4 years, keeping it updated. And it turns out he was some form of state actor, whether it was from another country or what, we don't know. But he essentially committed a code update that included a malware. And the only reason why we caught this in time to save the internet was because some dude somewhere was running the update on a Linux-based operating system and happened to notice that it took half a second longer on the time total to compile the code than it was supposed to. So he looked at the code to see why, because he was curious, and detected the malware, and then started warning everybody, and they were able to roll back the update over the weekend before all the businesses opened the following day. I have a contact over at the FBI that I'm friends with, and he told me as of November of last year that the number of cyber attacks that they stop now per day has ramped up crazy amounts. I believe he said that they stopped like 12 million attacks in a day from outside sources trying to crack into different infrastructure networks. They detected that there was a malware installed inside every like critical public infrastructure and they're still trying to figure out how to remove it. But luckily, I guess the activation key phrase hasn't been sent to it yet. Yeah, have fun Googling about that one. They're working on trying to figure out a way to get it out of all of this, but they're having to roll back server updates like sometimes years or more to get rid of the infected code. So it's a sticky situation. Look at all the 911 operating centers that went down across the West Coast earlier in the week, last week. Google it. It straight up was down in several cities for more than 24 hours. The PDs had to create temporary emergency phone numbers for people to call to get police aid or to get emergency services because the centers were down. You know?
Wow.
That's wild.
The cell phone issues that we've been having, you know, the random brownouts that just kind of like everything just dims for a few seconds and stuff.
And that's scary. You really start thinking about it. I mean, everything in our modern world runs on technology. And so, yeah, if they want to cripple a country, yeah, you don't go to war with it. You just shut off its electronics. Simply put, if people can't go buy food with their credit card, they don't know what to do. If they can't buy gas, nobody has a clue what to do or how to survive. It's like going back in the dark ages. Take away their internet or their power, country's screwed. They're done. And yeah, it's crazy. And I think we're already seeing that. And, you know, I've got to ask myself, just like you're saying here, so I didn't hear about the 911 thing. I didn't hear about the internet thing. I didn't hear about any of this. So why is that? We've got all these news channels. I mean, we're the most connected we've ever been in history. Well, it's because the big business controls the media. They don't want you to know what's really going on. So what do? They put Tom and Jerry up on TV in lawsuits saying, hey, we're the president. Look, we're in lawsuits. So people pay attention. They don't look at, hey, look, 911 shut down for 3 states across the Western United States for 100 million people. Yeah, they don't want to tell you that part. What the hell?
And the reason why people are starting to learn more and more about these things is because of the freedom of information that is flowing across apps such as TikTok, right? You know, and I just want to put this out there. When they introduced the bill to ban TikTok, it passed through and is expected to be signed, and they got 72 members of Congress to actually agree on something in the fastest, like, in ever. You know,
it's record.
In the last several decades, this is the fastest they've pushed something through, a bill like this. And yet, if you look on the docket, there is not a single proposal even coming up or being introduced to even address any of the skyrocketing grocery prices, the fact that people are saying, look, we cannot afford to live, the fact that people are having to cancel their leases and move back in with their parents because a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,500 a month. You barely get that a month with take home if you're stuck at federal minimum wage. Why is this not being addressed? But they can come together to ban TikTok because it threatens their grip on what they're telling you. It is waking people up. I want you to go look up the stories of people who have managed to get out of cults, right? Cults like Scientology. Even there's a huge movement of people leaving Mormonism and actually coming out and saying, yes, this is a cult. We're not standing for it anymore. We're splitting away from this. And it's like, wake up.
Exactly. It's crazy. And, the hardest part right here is, how do you get out of a cult? How do you find people who don't want to be in it anymore? Well, you still got to leave. You still got to buy gas. You got to buy food, even though you can't afford to do so. And that's where, for me personally, that's one thing that excites me about crypto and DeFi is it puts some of the power back to people. I'm not going to say all of it, but it does give us at least an opportunity to where we can kind of control our funds. It's not controlled by a bank and they say, hey, you don't get to withdraw your money today. No, bullshit. I can find someone who I can pay with cryptocurrency somewhere. I'll go out to Craigslist and buy food if I have to, whatever. But if I'm running on bank currency, I'm screwed. And it's scary, absolutely. And there's a post here, and I love this one. Weird how the bill that violates the Constitution gets passed the fastest ever and by the most votes in the quickest time. Yeah, there is our wonderful empire that is crumbling. Gee, I wonder why.
Because they've already shown and proved that they can get you to do what they want, right?
Right.
Like, how many of the corporations were threatening to fire you if you didn't take the vaccination, and it's only now coming out that, oh, actually you didn't have to, and you could have sued them if they forced you to, like this kind of thing, because it's
Right.
unlawful to require that for employment.
Right.
You know, like, I'm just going to stop right here.
And it's funny about that because they were going to do that where I worked when I was an electrician. And I told the plant manager, I'm like, straight up, you tell me I have to, I quit right now. Up to you. I don't care. Because I'm not going to let you inject me with something they just made up in the last 6 months. Nobody has a clue what the long-term effects are. And you want to force me to put this in my body? Yeah, I don't think so. Have a nice life. That was my attitude. And I wasn't real popular. I tend to be very outspoken, if you guys haven't noticed. I'm a very nice guy if you're on my good side. If you're on my bad side, I make it my mission to make your life hell. I do. I'm just that kind of guy. So yeah, it's one of those where everything is happening right now. And everything you see on the news, everything that they're announcing on the radio, the stuff they want you to pay attention to, that's where you don't want to pay attention. That is just a distraction. This is where everybody needs to really start paying attention to what's going on and find like-minded individuals just like you got here. Yeah, some people say, "Oh, you guys are all crackpots. You're crazy. You're what's the term when you're antisocial or you're causing problems in society?" Yeah, that's me. I'm proud of it. Not gonna lie. And man, we got all kinds of chat going through here. So, Smiley, Alfie, you guys have been kind of quiet lately. So, share your thoughts here, guys.
Okay, I'm the weirdo that has a bug out bag in her car and everybody laughs at me. But I don't know. I always wanted to be prepared. And it wasn't necessarily that, there's going to be an EMP, but I guess there could be. But, just even in small emergencies, I would like to always be ready, And also, I always had this in the back of my mind, how I would go off the grid, because I live in the middle of nowhere and we're kind of self-sustaining in that we have a couple of wells and, we don't rely on utilities or any of that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. And we grow stuff. So it's nice, to just feel like if I had to, I could survive one. But then it's kind of scary thinking about how fast, and maybe it's because I read too much, how fast society is just going to totally fall apart. If there is an EMP, it's going to go quick.
Oh, yeah.
If there was something that actually disabled the U.S. electrical grid, which you can do with 4 very highly motivated individuals, by the way, but don't tell anybody that I told you that, it would take the U.S. approximately 2 years to actually restore power to everything.
Right.
During the first year, 92% of people would likely perish.
Wow.
On the high end. The low end is 64%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's scary. And if you think about it, I mean, I was watching the other day and it was a Twilight Zone back from the 50s. And it was one about a bomb shot, I forget. But literally, society has created this massive sheep. So what happens when sheep get scared? Well, they panic, they freak out, they go in all different directions, usually killing each other in the process. And that's exactly what would happen. So make no mistake, my belief is that if we do have, or when, I should say, when whatever does occur for one empire to rise and the other to fall, it's going to be cyber. It's going to be in our infrastructure. We're going to kill ourselves off. And so, that's really kind of a scary thought. But they've proven time and time again, you turn people loose and you take away their basic needs of power, internet, things they think they need to survive. Man, they freak. They start killing each other off. It gets very scary.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was talking to this one guy when I was on my road trip, and I was telling him about Bitcoin, and he says, "Oh, I don't believe in that." He goes, "I believe in gold." And then I was thinking, why? And so I asked him, and he said, well, if an EMP takes out all of the whole banking system, I want to have gold. But then I was thinking, if we're going that far, wouldn't you want food and water and, a safe place to live first before gold? I don't know. Was I missing the point on the gold thing?
He's King Midas. That's what it. He's going to eat the gold, obviously.
Well, it's
Oh, I wanted to say
with
something earlier. So I said code is law. Now, it's a very controversial thing, but programmers, in a few circles, tend to have the idea that code is law because everything that everyone uses is based on code. You go to a bank, code. You use your phone, code. You do basically most of the things that are convenient for you, code. And then even certain cars these days, it's code. The thing with that is, because it's code, if a very highly motivated black hat decided, well, screw you, well, you know what, you're screwed. So, fun thing to think about. Oh, your electrical system? Nah, that's just code. We can take it out. No worries. We'll just reroute it. Don't worry about it. Thank you. So it's a very interesting thought. And then it reminded me, some of the biggest ships that the US creates cost upwards of $100 million to create. So imagine building $100 million ship and a highly motivated individual decides, you know what? I like that ship. I don't think the US needs it anymore. Let me just take it for myself. Well, there you go. You just gave $100 million away. Thank you. So it's a very interesting thought. Code is law, and I stand by that very well, very, very much, because everything that advances is based on code. It's strictly going to be things that have to be defined by people, that have to be created through a digital interface, which is zeros and ones, or whatever coding language you use to interpret those zeros and ones. More things become zeros and ones, the more likely it is that highly motivated black hats can cripple you. That was just a little bit of thoughts I had on the conversation from earlier.
No, and that's a great thought. And one thing, and I love the what somebody was saying also earlier about the gold. And so I don't know if you guys have ever watched the old TV show called Jeremiah. It was basically a plague hit and killed all the adults, so everybody above puberty died. What's really funny about that is through the 2 years of the show, it was a decent show, but it showed this whole apocalyptic, no power. People were trading batteries, cans of food, things like that. But if you think about it, what is gold really going to get you to trade? Wouldn't you rather have like food supplies or clean water or a way to filter your water? That would probably be much more valuable to a person who doesn't have power or an infrastructure. I mean, what are they going to do with gold besides trade for more gold or something else? So to me, I think that's almost counterproductive. I would say get survival supplies, things that can filter your water, things you can cook with, some things along those lines. That's where the true value is going to be if it were to ever go to that degree.
See, what you do is you buy stock in those companies that make those those life filter straws, right?
Right.
So you can drink on the go from contaminated water. And then you start buying them. So you have your own little stash of them. And then you just wait, right? Because eventually everyone's going to need one, right? Because at this rate, the corporations don't care. They're poisoning everything anyway. And then they're going to say, oh, it's because you're using plastic straws. And meanwhile, they've been poisoning us this whole time, right? Because apparently, according to a new study that's finally been corroborated and published last month, they've discovered that all plastic leaks. It leaches. It drops the microplastics. And guess what? The reason why you've ever noticed that you just don't have the attention span you used to, that's actually microplastic poisoning in the brain.
Oh, see, it's not my fault. Okay, good. I feel better.
I feel better too.
Get rid of them because it's oil-based and it leaches, right? You should be using linen when it's summer and wool when it's winter.
Interesting. Chat's been going nuts. Everything's been going nuts. Alpha, I know you had something, buddy. Go and take stage.
Oh, well, the gold is pointless. Yeah, the gold would, a lot of people tend to say that, you should hoard your gold because it's a monetary thing. But does the money even matter in a post-apocalyptic setting? I mean, in a post-apocalyptic setting, like you said, wouldn't you want food or water? I mean, Smiley said it. Wouldn't you want food or water? Wouldn't you want things that are actively useful, clothes, a place to sleep, things like that? People that control that would be in charge. People that control those things would have the possibility of thinking, oh, I would like some gold for decoration now. But everyone else would be constantly thinking, how am I going to get my next meal? Where am I going to get fresh, clean water? They're not going to be thinking about some electrical appliances because the only electrical appliance they might need is something to keep them warm. So it's like you don't even have the possibility of thinking about, oh yeah, I have a whole stack of gold in my yard. Buried in a treasure chest. Yeah, no, I can use that. I'm going to eat that. That's going to be the best burger I've ever had in my life. Like, you don't have that sort of leeway anymore. You have to think about what it is you can get to live through the next day. And no one's going to want your gold in exchange for their cans of food or their clean water. They're going to tell you, screw you, go find your own water. Why the hell would I take your gold?
Exactly. And, it's interesting because Brown Eye says, I think gold comes into when you don't have anything else of value to trade, so you use gold to get the essentials to survive. The trick is, what is that person going to trade the gold you just traded them to resupply themselves? It's not like they can run down to Walmart and buy more. I mean, we're talking the end of the world here, and we don't know what it's going to be like. We could be over dramatizing it, but make no mistake, something is coming, and we're right at the cusp of it. We're looking at probably next couple of years, 2 to 10, I'm guessing, that some major event has got to happen. And so, just like Cyril's talking, we've had 911 go down. We've had the internet try to go down everywhere. I mean, imagine what it'd be like without the internet. I grew up in the 80s. I know what it was like. We played outside a lot. We drank from garden hoses. We did all the things we shouldn't do. But think about, what do you really need? I mean, personally, biggest thing I need some ammunition. I need some sharp knives, some hatchets, some basic hand tools, and I can go to the mountains. From there, I can hunt, I can eat, I can live. That's what I've got to prioritize, is just staying alive. And sadly, a lot of that's going to be who's got the most bullets, who's got the most power. And it's going to get crazy because you're going to have anarchy. And if you live in a city or something like that, you're pretty well screwed because, you're just going to kill each other off. It's going to be crazy. What's the survival rate in a city, Sorrow? Have you researched that one yet? You're done.
Yeah, I've got... See, here's the thing. You should always have a location picked out, right? If you're not at a good, suitable location, like maybe you're in the city or maybe you're in the suburbs, you should always have a plan, right? Because you never know. I mean, shit, we live from about 20 miles from a nuclear power plant that has basically been bribing the inspector for the last 15 years. Hasn't done any of the routine maintenance. A lot of the last updates that it got was in 1980. You just never know, right? It doesn't have to be from foreign. I mean, remember, Rome collapsed from the inside. So did the British Empire. So did the Dutch Empire. So did the Persian Empire. We're no different.
Nope, we just think we are because we're living it. And so the funny part is a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's just far-fetched. That can never happen. Let me ask you guys, how many times have you heard on the news that, oh, look, this tanker, was slaloming with icebergs and dumped, 50 million gallons of oil in the ocean. They got a slap on the wrist, had to clean it up, no big deal. Do you really think the planet think that's no big deal? Or, sorry, like you're talking the nuclear power plant dumping pollution or whatever they're doing that's not up to par. That's going to affect us. We are being affected every single day. And big businesses, they just pay a fine. Yeah, okay, no big deal. And we press on with pride. They find somewhere else to dump it. Make no mistake, this is all happening right now. We are part of this society. And in a way, if we're not prepared, man, something has got to give. And I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be wild, whatever it is.
Oh, since Cyril, you mentioned a nuclear power plant. So in SA, we basically only have one nuclear power plant, and South Africa. And supposedly this nuclear power plant is online. However, I've spoken to people at Disaster Risk Management. They oversee the nuclear power plant. It has been offline for I think the last 10 to 15 years already. However, the country constantly puts out alert about, Unit 1 has gone online, Unit 1, Unit 2 is under repair. It's like, repair, you've been repairing for what, 10 years? And it's not online? I'm confused. I know it's offline. I know it's offline because I've been at disaster risk management, and they're the forefront of when something goes wrong. They have to be the people to alert everyone. Oh, you gotta get you gotta get the hell out because you're about to get hit by nuclear radiation. Like, they told me it's offline. It's been offline, and they're only there monitoring in case a nuclear spillage happens. Like, come on, man. Who are you trying to fool?
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of things don't make a lot of sense here. And, that's the biggest thing is that we think what we hear is accurate, but really it's not. I mean, there are so many things happening right now. It's absolutely crazy. And we are in that societal shift. And so we've read about, like we talked about, the Dutch, the British, all Sumerians, everybody back in time, they all went through this event. It never turned out well. But here's the trick. The history books were always rewritten by those who took power, or the information was destroyed by those who lost power. So truth is, 100 years from now, nobody's going to have a clue what really went down right now.
History is written by the victors.
Yep.
And that's why everybody here, for the longest time, all thought America's the greatest, right? And the people here are government, not so much. We're all and part of the way that they retain this control is they convince everybody that it's somebody else they should be mad at, somebody else who's also going through struggles, situations. I mean, government has never been kind to its own citizens. It bombed its own city. Did you know the government bombed Philadelphia? Did you know that the government went to a town, started of a marginalized community, by the way, started a syphilis infection, came in, told everybody that they would treat them, gave them all placebos, and then did checkups just so that they could monitor the progression of it within a community? And that's just the stuff we know about. They experiment on the soldiers as well. It's a mess.
Yeah, it is. The military has used military members for experiments for as long as there's history. And it just doesn't get better because military is a captive audience. They are captive guinea pigs. Once you sign that paper, you're not your own. They say get this shot, you get the shot. The experiment you were referring to in Tuskegee was the black gentleman that they gave syphilis to intentionally, to see what it would do. And my ethics class actually talked a lot about that. And it's insane what this country does to its people. Well, a lot of countries do it to their people, not just us. But yeah.
Yep.
It is sad. And, like we've talked about before, Sarah, the birth rate has dropped drastically. I mean, I told you guys a few weeks ago on the show that we had shut down 3 hospitals here in Boise are not delivering babies anymore. They just closed the wing. They're like, there's not enough babies. Why should we bother? And you start thinking about that. Okay, so we're poisoning the water. We're testing on our own soldiers and our own people. We're not having enough children to replenish it. Who's going to run this world tomorrow? We're going to run out of people really quick. Yeah, this is really going down.
I just want to put it out there that they run these campaigns, these propaganda campaigns, to delegitimize the claims. Raise your hand if you've heard at least some person of the older generation say, what's up with everybody suddenly having autism or ADHD or some other mental illness? Why is this fad suddenly happening? Raise your hand if you've heard that.
Well, you can't see it, but I'm doing it.
Right. That's a direct result of the disinformation campaign. Why are all of our children having these problems? Isn't this something we should look into? Oh, maybe it's because you've been poisoning us.
Exactly. And it's scary when you really think about it. And yeah, there's a whole chat, and I'm trying to click on the chat, guys. I'm not trying to ignore you. But there was one, Smiley Girl, you had something here. So I want to turn it over to you for a sec. Go for it.
I was just saying that it seems like they purposely try to polarize everybody. It's a us versus them, and we are enemies. And it's as if they do it because they don't even want things to get fixed or changed or worked out or compromised. They want us all angry at each other and blaming each other, and it does nothing.
Oh, before I forget, this reminds me of something that I watched a long time ago, totalitarianism. So for totalitarianism, you need to break down everyone. Start with a serious crisis, and you do that crisis in waves. What does this remind of us? COVID-19. We had wave 1, 2, 3, whatever, etc. We had also complete control over the population, which is another thing that you need for totalitarianism to be even possible. COVID-19 lockdown. Everyone was locked down. They had to stay in place. It fostered the idea that you have to listen to the government. You have to listen to what we say because this is what we said. So it already planted that idea in everyone's mind. And then you gradually force people to start seeing each other as enemies, so that the government is your only friend. It's another facet of totalitarianism. What is the end goal? For a single entity or person to have complete and utter control of all the sheep, the humans, the rest of the beings, the 99.999% of the population. It really just honestly comes down to that. Like, that's the more I hear and see, the more it just makes sense that this is a totalitarian attack, a method to achieve that end goal.
Okay, so this is really weird. I want to share this story because when the lockdown first started, I went to Target to go get groceries, and I wore a mask and gloves. And at the beginning of COVID, they said that you shouldn't do that because you were taking them away from the healthcare workers. But these were ones I already had at home. So I thought, who am I taking it away from? So I wore it to the store, and people are giving me dirty looks and everything. And then how long was it until they then said everybody needs to wear masks and everything? I was like, wait a minute. I was doing that, and I was the enemy because it wasn't the narrative that they were promoting at the time. It didn't make sense to me.
Exactly. And, that's what it is. And we've seen it time and time again through history. And, one of the most popular that a lot of us don't realize unless you research a little bit is Germany. Literally before the war started, Germany was about to collapse as a country. They were literally, people were starving. It was horrible. So this one guy rose up and said, hey, you know who our enemy is? Well, it's the Jews. So let's band together. What they do, they built a hell of an army. They annihilated the Jews, which was wrong in every way. Then they decided they were going to take over, the world. We'll just give it a shot. And now they are a financial superpower. I mean, literally, it's crazy how one person's totalitarian ideas. Yeah. They can infect others, and they start controlling the sheep. And then the sheep see one person as an enemy. Kind of like you, Smiley. Everybody's saying, oh, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Then all of a sudden that one person changes their story, says, oh, now you should be doing that. Does anybody come back and say, hey, Smiley, you were our hero. You were doing it right. We were wrong. I'm sorry, my bad. No, they're like, well, I guess we have to do it now. It's absolutely insane. And the biggest thing here is we've got to start thinking for ourselves. We've got to pay attention to what the hell is going on. And we've got to be ready because something is coming.
How many of you have actually even heard about the fact that Dr. Fauci, the one who was telling everybody to take the vaccines and everything, recently during a deposition hearing was straight up saying, yeah, we have no idea how any of that was going to turn out. You know, just like basically straight up saying, yeah, this is what we were being told to say. This is what we were being told to push. By who? Come on.
Exactly. And yeah, so just like you said right here, who wins the presidency? Well, it really doesn't matter because they're all playing the same damn game. And just like I said earlier, that's why I haven't voted. They're not of the people, by the people, for the people. Now, you give me somebody running for president who is, let's say, ex-Marine farmer Bob, who grew up, plowing fields and living on the street. Hey, that is my dude. Okay, he's gone through recovery. Hey, that's a real life person. I'm totally up for voting for that. Anything else is just stupid. And it's getting dumber by the day. And if you haven't noticed that, man, start paying attention because it's just going to get crazier.
I have always said that public offices should be basically candidate lists should be picked similar to the way jury duty is picked. And that term should be limited. And that while you're in political office, you receive the average wage across the nation plus 25%, and that's it, right? And you have I have this little list of requirements. I actually so I know how to rebuild and fix the whole country, right? The problem is none of them would go for it. It's actually a very simple process, and I've written it all down in stages. And once I finish polishing it up or whatnot, I'll happily share it in the Discord for y'all to read. But it's not hard to fix the country. You would just have to implement some changes that those in power would not like, but it would make it more representative of the actual people.
And that's the trick is the first thing you have to do is limit the size of that cup at the top of the pyramid. Now, that's number one. Then you got to take the power away from the people who have been in there for 60 years. These people should be retired, sitting on an island drinking Mai Tais, not running a freaking country. What the hell? Dude can't remember where he put his false teeth stat, let alone try to remember where he put the nuclear football. I read a while back that got lost for 6 months by one president. I don't know, it's around here somewhere. It's seriously? What the hell, guys? It's absolutely insane what's going on. And so we're about out of time here, guys. So I'm going to pass it around. I'm going to let everybody say something in closing. But this has been an absolute blast. And I want to bring you guys not just the sunshine, because there's more than sunshine going on. If we just do that, then we're part of the sheep. So we got to be asking the hard questions here. That's what we're all about. So Alpha Buddy, what do you got, my man? Take it away.
I think I'll leave with the closing, the thing that I just said in the chat. I think it was Confucius that said, when those of intelligence do not engage within the politics of their country, they are allowing themselves to be ruled by the idiots. Well, he obviously used better words, but I'm translating it to our English, okay? Yeah, so that's what I would close off with, and it really does. It hits because I see myself as a smart person. I'm a deep thinker, and yet the country that I'm in is not a country where I see a lot of intelligent people running things. The vast majority of them are barely even matriculated, so it just really hits pretty hard, that code.
I would agree.
I would agree totally. And the simple fact is a person is smart. People are stupid. They're scared. They're panicky. They're psychotic. Yeah. People in general as a mass, they're flat dangerous. So how do you get the good people to lead the mass, or the good person to lead the mass of people? That's the trick. And that's what we don't have.
Gotta take away the incentive for the bad people to go for it.
There you go. There you go. Make it where it's no longer rewarded to be one of the leaders. It's an opportunity. It's not a right. It's something you've earned. It's a what?
A duty.
There you go. They had somebody like that. They called him Caesar until all of a sudden he didn't step down. Then it went bad. But you're right. It needs to change. So, Braden, what are you thinking, buddy? Can't hear you.
And how...
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
yep, we're good.
Okay.
Go for it.
Didn't do anything, but I guess you can hear me. I was thinking about JFK and how 3 days before, actually, like 3 days after he was murdered, he was going to go and invoke his powers as president to pull the military out of Vietnam. And, then he was just kind of mysteriously, killed,
Dead.
only 3 days before. That's not suspicious at all. So yeah, I was thinking that. And earlier, a lot earlier, they were, I don't know who said it, but they were talking about things never getting done in the United States. And I wanted to mention something that they do here. They actually, on every sign leading into a city, so like the sign that says "Welcome to Boise" or "Welcome to Mountain Home," they have a big billboard that lists everything they're going to do in the next year in that town, and the number of the phone number of the mayor. If those things aren't getting done, you can actually call or text the mayor to like get him to hurry it up. And as they do the things, they either make a new billboard and take the things off, or they'll send somebody up and like paint a line over the things that have been done. So they do that in every single city here, every single town, even like the smallest towns here, and there's a ton of them. And they do that everywhere. Every week you can see them going out and editing, or sometimes even adding new things onto that billboard that people here can vote for by going into City Hall. You can go into City Hall and write a petition to ask for, hey, I want, a city well, or, I really think this road into the town should be 4 lanes instead of just 2. Whatever. And then they'll vote on it, and if it passes, then it'll go on the billboard for to be completed in the next year. And here next to the airport, the main airport here, there's a 3-way overpass thing. It's pretty complex, like something you would see in Dallas or something. It's very like complex and all in the sky. It's really weird. It got completed in less than 1 year after it started.
Whoa.
You'd never see that in the United States. Never. It'd take
It's like a
5
12-year
or more.
project, yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys are saying like, oh, this thing would take like multiple years, here it would not. Here it'd take just a few months. And I mean, here the workers, they do work 6-day weeks. They work Saturdays because it's there's a lot of Catholics, so Sundays is the Sabbath, so they take that off. And they get paid a lot. Construction workers get paid a lot. So, I mean, I think construction-wise, and a lot of other ways, this country is a lot more advanced than the United States. Yes, I'm flying a plane that was made in 1978 every day, but, I mean, what does that matter when your country's gonna be the best in the world, and already it's the second safest in the entire world? When in 2019, we had 4 murders per day,
Wow.
and now we haven't had a murder in 500 days.
Nice.
Damn, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely packing my bags. We're out of here. So we
And
had
yeah,
a great question.
yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
CK the Ghost, yeah, it's murder, but I just said assassinated to keep Cyril on YouTube, because you know how things like that go.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
it will be Cyril
Cyril
getting banned.
won't-
It'll be me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cyril will say whatever he wants. I'm the one who gets in trouble. I'm kind of used to that.
Or not
CK
Cyril,
the
you.
Ghost. Yeah, thank you. Wrong person. So CK the Ghost had a great question. So everybody here, let's get a vote here. He wants to know of the room. Everybody here and here, do you think voting actually matters for you as a person? For me to go in and punch that ballot, does it actually matter? And I'll start off. I absolutely do not. And that's why I have never in my life actually voted. Because it doesn't matter. I live in a state that has one, electoral vote or however the hell it works. Yeah, we don't matter at all. We never get a president to visit. Nobody ever stops here. We live in the mountains. So nobody gives a shit about Idaho. And so no, my vote has never mattered because that's where I was born and raised. I don't think it does, and don't think it ever will, so long as people in power are bought and not voted for. Wild Angel, what do you think?
I'm conflicted on this
No.
one. Because, no, I think in the grand scheme, no, my vote doesn't matter. However, it is my right to at least squeak. You know, I may be a mouse, but I can at least squeak, and you know, that's my right. And so I, contrary to my husband, I actually do exercise my right to squeak. And I mean, I know that in the grand scheme of things, my little squeak doesn't matter. But if enough people, maybe, eventually, someday, it'll do something.
That's fair. What about you, Rose?
On that one.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, the votes, they don't mean anything. They really don't.
Okay. Sai, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, as long as money is still in politics, no, votes doesn't matter, right? Because they're just going to go with whatever fills their pocketbook. You know, it's a very lucrative career currently, and until money stops being an interest of people in political offices, then the interest of their people will not be an interest of theirs.
I tend to agree. So how about you, Smiley? What do you think?
Well, I think that in the local measures, like I found when I lived down south that a couple of those local measures were really important to the community. And if enough people voted, they passed and they were helpful. But I think anything really big like the president or, you know, the senators, I don't think my vote counts at all.
That's a good distinction, and that's one thing. I think a lot of us forget is we can make a difference locally, and by going out participating in the community, and I think that's great. But going out punching a ballot for presidency or a senator, or something, yeah. So I agree with you, Smiley, absolutely. How about you, Alpha? Do they actually have voting polls and stuff down where you're at?
Yeah, they have those balloting boxes. I'm not registered to vote, and I never will be registered to vote as. I don't see any party that is worth my vote, so I will not exercise my right to vote because I don't see any worth in exercising it. But yeah, I don't believe it accounts to begin with, because the way these people do things, they're bloody sneaky. So I'm not even sure if they're counting the votes properly. And since I don't know, I'm not going to bother.
That's fair, and that's a good question there. So how about you, Braden? How's the voting work down there?
It's a democracy down here, so we can vote for the president, and whoever wins. But since I'm not a citizen, I wasn't born here, and I can't get citizenship until I marry. I can't vote down here, or have a bank account, which is very annoying.
Yeah, that would.
But the voting down here does actually do something, because they're all hand counted. No machine counts the votes. It's on paper and hand counted. Like, you can see the exact number of people that voted for the president last year. And last year it was something like, so I think a total of like 6 million people are in this country, and I think it was like 4,900,000 people voted to re-elect the president. It was like an 88% vote for re-election, which would never happen in the United States ever. It's like 51 every time.
It's interesting
Yeah.
how convenient that's always right there, isn't it? How does that work exactly?
Mhm. It's because if it's 51, you can't easily tell that, oh, I know like all of my friends voted for the same thing as I did. All their friends voted for the same thing I did. If it's like close to the same numbers, it's hard to tell the difference. But if it's like 89% voted for this, yeah, if you talk or look on social media, yeah, before the election, everything was saying re-elect him, re-elect him, re-elect him. And there was almost nothing for the other candidates. I didn't even know a thing about any of the other candidates. I just know, Bitcoin is the future, and he's for Bitcoin and freedom, and he took away 40,000 gang members in his first week in office for life, so why not? And I know him personally, so
That always
yeah.
helps.
There you go. So you're on the inside. That works out good. And so CK the
Yep.
Ghost asks, where are you at?
El Salvador,
Okay. So I hope that answered
Bitcoin
that. And,
country.
yeah, big time. Australia's same compulsory to the vote, paper-based, hand-counted preference. Nice. See, I like that. And okay, so hope we answered your question there, and hope you got the information you're looking for. So I know we were saying our goodnights because I can smell pizza cooking. I'm getting hungry, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm hungry. Smiley, go ahead, take the floor. So say your goodnights, my dear.
Good night, everybody. I had such a good time, and this really cheered me up after such a rough week. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, my dear. Sai, what do you got for closing, my man?
Well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Hopefully, some of my hot takes don't get demonetized or anything. Cross fingers. But just keep your eyes open, right? Don't get your news or information from the main media, right? Like if you don't understand at this point that that's controlled, I don't know what you're doing. But there's otherwhere, I keep up to date on stuff going on in the Middle East with the Hindusian Times. It's a freedom press over in India, because at least I'm not going to have to deal with filters there.
Exactly.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, sir. And Rose, what do you got for us, my dear?
I am ready for bed. So I love you all. Good night. Happy Friday.
Good night.
Good night, my dear. Wild Angel, what do you want to leave us with?
Well, I'm going to leave you guys with this little guy.
Oh,
That's adorable.
it's so cute.
He's all blurry.
It's
Oh, there he is.
sorry. It's a turkey. And also is his little dangly thing off his nose. But he's what I've been working on tonight. I thought I'd leave you guys with that, something fun. No, the world kind of sucks and we make the best we can of it. And, I do it one critter at a time. So if that's my vote, then my vote counts a hell of a lot. And yes,
Exactly.
show the duck. Show the ducks, honey. Show the duck.
I plan on. So I want to say thank you to everybody who tunes in every Friday night. You never know what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about, or where we're going to go. That's why it's called Freaky Friday. But I definitely want to say thank you because this journey and everything that we share here is all because of you guys who are willing to join us. And Sai, Rose, Smiley, Alpha, Braden, Wild Angel, and even Austin Clark. Thank you guys for always being willing to hop up here and have a chat about whatever the hell we talk about because it's always a great time. And if you would, do me a huge favor, guys. If you've enjoyed this content, just hit the like and subscribe because we're going to keep doing this. We're going to have some fun. But I want to do one last call to action. Everybody, please go out and subscribe or like, share, and push this out to the community for Project Duck Depression. This is where we can make a difference. And it doesn't take a lot. A little tiny baby duck can make somebody smile. And believe me, in this society and everything that's going on, everybody could use just a little bit of happiness. So make sure to like it. Get yourself some ducks. Go duck bomb somebody. Duck bomb your neighbor's house or head to the mayor's office. Have some fun with it. But everybody out there, stay safe. Make sure you know where you're getting your information, and keep an eye on what's going on. Listen to the whispers, because that's the facts. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Hi, guys.
Natalie.
There's a duck. All right. I like it, Braden.